There are lots of tips, but I'm going for 5, and these are the 5 that really helped me kickstart my sobriety. Hi, my name's Barbara, aka Sober in Colour. I'm not here to bamboozle you with the stats and science on how I managed to stay sober for over 800 days, but to share my lived experience on how I became sober, why I became sober, and that you can too. It's not about what you'll give up, it's about what you're going to gain. And that being sober is fun and fulfilling. This is my first tip and my favourite. My friend the Dalai Lama says that sleep is the best meditation, and I agree with him. Number 1, sleep. Catch up on all the sleep that you've been missing. There's nothing wrong with going to bed early. Create a nice bedroom space by closing the curtains and dimming the lights. Perhaps reading or listening to a podcast. Having gone to bed early, the idea is that you will naturally start to wake up earlier, so you will have a good morning routine. I would sometimes book into an exercise class or commit to going for a walk in the morning. I did try meditation, but it's not quite for me. Create a morning routine that works for you. Number 2, quit slit. Which is literature to help you quit. And I would not consider myself to be a reader, but I did read a handful of books. I would use reading to occupy my time in the evening where I would otherwise be drinking, and also as part of my morning routine. The first book I read was Sober Diaries by Claire Pauly. This was a blog that she turned into a book. It's, for me, it was really relatable and actually really funny in points. Obviously it's a serious topic, but it was really funny too. And my favourite book, because it was full of stats and science and really easy to read, was Alcohol Explained by William Porter. And 3, AF drinks, alcohol-free alternatives. Now, I know they can be triggering for some people, but for me, they were really helpful. I know other people, they find them really helpful too. Whenever I felt like I wanted to have a drink, I would still have a non-alcoholic drink. It was a way of keeping the cravings away. I would still have a nice glass with ice and lemon or whatever I was going to have it with. Or I would just have tonic water in a nice bubble glass where I would normally have a gin and tonic, and that would help subside any cravings that I was having. 4, to feel your feelings. How are you really feeling? There's a really nice acronym which is HALT or HALTS, which stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired and stressed. It's a really good way of trying to understand how you are feeling. So what I would do, especially if I was having a craving, would be to take myself away from where I was at that moment, on my own, in a quiet space, and this literally takes 5 to 10 minutes. Sit down and shut your eyes and try and feel where in your body you are feeling this craving. And quite often mine would be, well, it would be in various places, but in my jaw sometimes, in my chest, in my stomach, in my ears, again around my jaw, sometimes in my feet. But if you close your eyes, really concentrate on where that feeling is with your eyes shut, and imagine that feeling is a fireball, and you're massaging it with your eyes closed, imagining that you're massaging it and making it smaller. It's getting smaller and smaller, and then you're just imagining where it is and the feeling, taking deep breaths at the same time and imagining that ball getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it bursts. And that's 5 or 10 minutes, and then by that time it's really a way of trying to help you to subside the craving, feel what you're feeling, and then trying to process that feeling, to understand what that emotion is. And there's a really nice wheel of feelings. If you just Google wheel of feelings, it will come up. I'll put a link down below. I found it really, really helpful. And 5, podcasts. Now, I've listened to podcasts for quite some time. there must be a podcast on helping you to quit drinking. So I searched for one, I found one and started to listen to it religiously on my walks in the morning. And I listened to it for quite a long time before I actually did give up drinking. And it was really helpful. A podcast called The Sober Experiment by two ladies called Alex and Lisa. They've known each other since they were little, and they decided they used to go out and get drunk together and decided should we have this experiment and go sober. So they did, and they're really funny. And what I liked about it just made me feel like you can still have fun sober. So I listened to I think it was 4 seasons at the time. I listened to them, and I honestly, without listening to podcasts, I don't think that I would have made the decision to give up alcohol.